What's up, my comic comrades? Back in 2017, we did a How Powerful is Sentry episode, and since he's such a dope, underrated character, we wanted to revisit him, but of course, differently. So this time, we're going to be listing his most powerful moments. Not every single one, but a good amount. And let me tell you, this dude is insane. Anyway, I'm not about wasting unnecessary time, so let's get right into it. Starting with the time Sentry and the Avengers were fighting Magneto on an island, and Captain America tells Sentry, he doesn't leave the island, Bob. You hear me? Magneto does not leave the island. And Sentry is just like, I could just sink the island if you'd like. To which Captain America says, no. But the point is, Sentry nonchalantly is like, I could just sink the entire island if you'd want me to. It's really no big deal. Moving along, I think every Marvel fan can agree that being a Herald of Galactus means you are incredibly powerful as you're imbued with the power cosmic. Well, when Terrax, one of Galactus' heralds, attacked Sentry, saying, now you shall taste my cosmic axe, Sentry just put his right arm up in the air and stopped the axe mid-swing. I get this may not seem super crazy or anything, but again, this is a Herald of Galactus, meaning the power cosmic runs through him. So this is insane. I mean, I could mention times where Sentry lifted a cruise ship out of the water by himself or caught a helicarrier, but to be quite honest, that's a warm-up for him. Case in point, Sentry once overpowered Thor by punching him through several buildings. The impact was said to be felt by the entire planet. Sentry also did this to Thor again, but this time he bull rushed him through Asgard, taking Thor down. What I'm saying is Sentry has overpowered Thor several times, which is insane as Thor is considered to be one of the top 10, maybe even top 5 strongest heroes in all of Marvel. While we're on the topic of Thor, here's one of the most badass, powerful moments on this list. One of the times Sentry was fighting Thor, it got so heated, Thor chucked his hammer straight at Sentry's head. But Sentry just used his molecule manipulation powers to stop Mjolnir inches in front of his face, making Thor's hammer fall to the ground like a giant paperweight. Everyone knows Thor is the only one who can control his hammer, minus the extremely rare exception. And this, my friends, is one of those extremely rare exceptions. Sentry didn't just grab or punch it away, he used his molecule manipulation, his mind, to stop it and make it drop to the ground. That is insane. Which I guess makes sense because in essence, if you can control molecules, you can control anything, since everything is made of molecules, no matter what dimension it's from. Another thing to know is Sentry is also known as the Void, which essentially is just his dark persona. It's the side you never want to see. For instance, one time he got pissed off at Norman Osborn and the Dark Avengers, and the Void came out, which basically summoned hell on Earth. I mean, just look at that. He's summoning black tentacles out of space to basically destroy Earth. And literally everyone's taking cover. The Avengers, the Dark Avengers, just everyone. And Norman is literally pleading with him saying, you need to relax, bro, which he eventually does, but the point is, that could have been really bad. There's also the time the Void and or Sentry killed Loki. Yeah, that was the thing. The Void lost his temper, as he tends to do, and Loki says, you will pay for what you've done here, monster. And the Void replies, magic rocks? No, we won't be having any of that, and kills Loki. Gah! Speaking of Sentry killing someone, when Sentry was fighting Arris, the god of war, he ended the fight by ripping the god of war in half. Hear me. Sentry with his bare hands ripped Arris, the god of war, in half. It was a bloody mess. Now, besides being incredibly powerful, I do want to touch on speed real quick, and I only really need to give you one instance to let you know how fast this guy is. Sentry has said several times that he operates in milliseconds. For those of you who don't know, a millisecond is 1/1000th of a second. Sentry also is pretty much completely invulnerable. Even point-blank nuke blasts don't do anything to him. And even if you're able to destroy Sentry, well, he's immortal, so he comes right back to life. For instance, when Morgan Le Fay destroyed Sentry, he simply reformed out of nothing. But that's not the only time, because there's the time Molecule Man was messing everything up with his powers and used said powers to destroy Sentry. He literally made him explode from the inside out. But again, Sentry is immortal, so he just put himself back together, saying, listen to me, if you show me how to put everything back the way it was, I will spare your life. You have the experience with this that I do not. So Sentry forces Molecule Man to put everything back the way it was, and Molecule Man screaming in pain saying, it's done. All of it. Sentry says, are you sure? And Molecule Man replies, all of it, I swear. Sentry finally says, then go away, as he explodes Molecule Man the way he did to Sentry earlier. Talk about sweet revenge. Sentry can even create life. Once upon a time, he created a miniature werewolf. Why? Because he can. Now check this crap out. When Absorbing Man was fighting Sentry, Absorbing Man was extremely impressed with Sentry's powers. He even says, I've never felt power like yours before. Is this how it feels to be a god? So Sentry says pretty much and shows him more power. before eventually grabbing Absorbing Man and melting him with the power of 1 million exploding suns. It says atom by atom, dissolving into protons and neutrons and solar wind. This is incredibly insane because this is the same Absorbing Man who absorbed Hulk's power, Thor's power, and even Odin's magic once upon a time. But Sentry's power was no match for him. Sentry even once flew Carnage into orbit and ripped him apart. Yeah, you know, one of the most terrifying, sadistic, and powerful villains in the Marvel Universe? Ripped him apart like string cheese. In space, mind you. Have you guys ever heard of a little character called Doctor Strange, aka the Sorcerer Supreme? Well, being the Sorcerer Supreme makes him the most powerful mystic in all of Marvel Comics. But Sentry was able to resist Strange's mind magic, breaking free and then KOing Doctor Strange. Now here's a really crazy one. Sentry once fought Galactus to a standstill. You know, the Devourer of Worlds, one of the most powerful beings in the entire Marvel Universe. Yeah, Sentry fought him to a standstill. Now power-wise, I could leave you all with that alone, but I figured we'd go out with some Hulk instances because everyone likes a good strength comparison to people like the Hulk and Superman. Well, luckily for us, we have several instances of Sentry facing off against the Hulk. And first, we have the time Sentry fought World War Hulk, aka one of the most powerful versions of the Hulk ever. And he fought him to a standstill. If you guys read World War Hulk, you know what I'm talking about. This Hulk was ungodly powerful, only really surpassed by Worldbreaker Hulk. Anyway, this battle was brutal. It was just brute force, fist to fist. And Sentry proved to be so powerful, it ended in a standstill with both characters reverting back to their human form. But we also have another Hulk vs. Sentry mashup, which is also going to be the last moment we're going to mention today. In this instance, the Hulk was extremely pissed off, as he tends to be because the Hulk. So he's running through brick walls, chucking trains at the Sentry, all sorts of stuff. But instead of fighting back with punches and force, this time the Sentry used his telepathy and or mind powers to calm the Hulk, literally taming him like a dog. Sentry even says, before the battle can reach its stunning climax, it is over. The raging Hulk is no more. The Green Goliath kneels before the Sentry as docile as a lamb. This right here is probably the most epic Hulk defeat ever. Sure, it's way more fun and entertaining to see a big spectacle, but as far as power and a clean win goes, dude just lifted his hand in the air and used his mental abilities to calm the Hulk from within, making him as docile as a lamb. What I'm saying is the Sentry didn't even have to lay a finger on the Hulk to defeat him. But there you have it, friends, several of Sentry's most powerful moments in comics over the years. Yes, we know there's a ton more, but these are some of our favorites. So let us know what you think of Sentry in the comment section down below, as well as what character you would like to see get a most powerful moments episode. But I do want to end on one final thought. Could you imagine a tag team matchup with Sentry and Hyperion versus Superman and Martian Manhunter? Dude, that would be a fight I'd want to see main event WrestleMania. First up for the week of July 1st, we have Red Hood and the Outlaw Volume 3 Generation Outlaw. Now this isn't a single issue, but rather a trade, but if you like the Red Hood as much as I do, you're gonna want to catch up on the series. It's definitely a fresh and unique take on the Red Hood. Next up, we have Batman Gotham Knights issue 11. Like I just said, I'm a massive Red Hood fan, and this issue has not one, but two Red Hood stories. One of which involves Red Hood and Nightwing teaming up. Here we have Ghostbusters Year 1 issue 4. If you're a Ghostbusters fan like me, you're gonna want to check out this 4-issue miniseries as it gives us backstory of the early days of the Ghostbusters. And finally, we have Deceased Hope at World's End issue 4. The world needs a Batman, but Damian is struggling with the enormity of the mantle. I've read the first 3 issues of this series, and let me tell you guys, if you like Deceased, you definitely need to be reading this title as well. And just like that, that brings today's episode of Variant to a close. But if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to check out our How Powerful is Hyperion episode right here. And if you like the channel, be sure to subscribe, comment, and like our videos. But I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.